Allô, Nissan? Hey, grosse tempête, hein?
Hey, Karine, oui, je sais, les vilains bonhommes de neige sont de retour.
Mais avec le Nissan Rogue à traction intégrale, c'est pas stressant.
Exact, il est conçu et testé pour nos hivers. Oh, Karine, il y a un bonhomme dans le Rogue.
Ah, c'est correct. J'ai allumé les sièges chauffants.
Ah, bien joué, Karine. Maîtrisez toutes les conditions. Louez le Rogue S 2026 à partir de 0,4% jusqu'à 36 mois, incluant une réduction fidélité de 0,5% pour les clients Nissan admissibles. Jusqu'au 2 mars, sur approbation de crédit, les conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Dave Kaufman in for Elias. And let's bring in the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Metropolitan Montreal, Michel Leblanc. Michel, I'd always rather be talking baseball with you.
Yes, but we're in this pandemic, and I guess baseball right now is not our main priority. Although I would say that the Expos are probably the only team with no risk of any case at this moment.
That's right. I sat down and watched Game 5 of the 1981 Division Series against Philadelphia last night, and I thought to myself, nobody's getting COVID, and Steve Rogers is throwing a gem. Oh, for a time machine.
Yes, definitely. Let's hope we're going to have this back in a few months or year, perhaps half a team for a while. But at this moment, I would say we're focusing more on what's happening in town. And as you mentioned in the opening, we're very concerned about what's happening at the Port of Montreal.
So the employer has changed salary conditions for the Port of Montreal longshoremen. The longshoremen have been having these 4-day strikes. We heard of violence last week at the Olympic Stadium parking lot. Can you explain to me why the longshoremen are on strike right now?
Well, I'm not the specialist in terms of what's being negotiated. I understand that the general conditions of those jobs are very good conditions. In terms of pay, I understand that the workload might be heavy over a period of time. So I understand the need for negotiation, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be improvement. What I'm saying is that at this moment, the port is an essential pillar of the economy, and I'd say the restarting of the economy. We're not yet out of the pandemic. Mind you, it's the second largest port in Canada. We're talking about a million, almost 2 million container handle per year. It's huge. The value of goods that are transiting through the port, it's $275 million per day of values of goods. So, I mean, for our businesses here, they are concerned about many, many things, be it finances, be it access to labor, access to clients, international contracts. And then you add on to all that uncertainty about the logistical chain, about whether they're going to get the equipment or the goods they need, or whether they can send their production. It doesn't make sense at this moment to have a strike.
We're looking at a downward modification of wage conditions as of Thursday at 3 p.m. Longshoremen and maintenance workers who work evenings, nights, weekends, and bank holidays will be seeing their salaries downgraded. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not, again, in the negotiation. What I understand is that each side can make some decisions. I understand that the workers decided no overtime, whereas you could imagine that after 4 days of strike, probably there was some room for a need for overtime to unload the boats, the ships that are already there, or send a signal to the ships coming that they wouldn't be waiting. So I guess there's pressure on each side. I don't exactly know what each side can do that is over and above a strike or a lockout. But what I'm saying here is clearly, as you mentioned, there's kind of a deterioration of the climate between the workers and the business owners. And I would say this is exactly where I'm definitely pressing for the federal government. And in this case, it's the Minister of Labor, Minister Tassi, to get involved. They have to get involved. They have to get involved at the highest level with a special mediator. And that special mediator should have just a few days. Okay, make sure that you understand what's at stake, perhaps press for a solution soon, and let's hope that it works. And if it doesn't work within a few days, then you're going to have to move to a second level, which is probably go into arbitration, name an arbitrator, and require that work resume while the arbitrator does its job. In 2010, there was a strike, and there was a 6-day strike, and then we all said it's completely unacceptable, and they put delayed the pressure and they negotiated for a few months. Now, that was in 2010 with no pandemic. Now,
Right.
last week, 4 days. This week, half the port is not functioning. We need to have some action there.
With Michel Leblanc, the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Metropolitan Montreal, and we're talking about the strike at Montreal's port. If there was a law that would make the port workers essential service workers, how would that law work exactly, Michel?
Well, again, I'm not saying that they cannot have any mean of pressure or even the right to strike. Maybe the right to strike should be maintained, but as in many type of jobs, there has to be some boundaries, some criteria of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And the essential role of the port was recognized during the pandemic. The port was recognized as an essential service and was maintained active during the entire pandemic. The worker had to work with all the sanitary requirements and conditions, but they remained on the job because it was so essential, and it's now as essential as it was a month ago. So I don't understand that we recognize that nurses cannot go fully on strike. Perhaps there can be some strike, but they have to maintain minimal essential services. What I'm saying is a port should always have operations going on because it's so essential to the safety of the economy, and at the end, it's the safety of the jobs and the people.
And if somebody is essential to the economy, I don't think anybody would ever suggest that in the midst of a pandemic that nurses take a pay cut.
Exactly. I mean, everybody sees that if you are having a pandemic, well, your sanitary conditions are extremely fragile, and you have to have every people on board, on deck, working hard. Well, it's the same thing. We have to understand the economy is a functioning system that is required for all people. Okay, our jobs, our pay depends on the economy functioning. The port is a pillar of this system. We cannot have the port as, let's say, a piece that's so structural stop working, stop functioning. It cannot happen. And if it happens a few days, then you can have adjustments. If it lasts, then the federal government has to intervene, has to step in the game and say, okay, this is not acceptable. It's fragilizing the entire economy.
Finishing up with Michel Leblanc, the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Metropolitan Montreal. And can I glean from your last statement that the Chamber of Commerce does not believe that the workers should be forced to take a pay cut in the midst of this?
This is like saying, okay, in part of the, let's say, the pressures on each side at this moment is something acceptable and something not acceptable. I'm saying strike is not acceptable. But then if the workers say we do not, do overtime, we do not do whatever requirements that is optional in their agreements, and then the employers say, okay, and then we're reducing pay because it's allowed in the contract, in the job contract, then I'm saying, okay, this is part of the pressure from each side. So pay cuts, I wouldn't go about pay cuts. I wouldn't like pay cuts. I think that these workers deserve what they earn. And I think at the same time, the employers deserve to have a functioning body, a functioning group of workers. So again, that's the pressure. But what I'm saying is this is where you need a special mediator named by the federal government with experience, a real pro that looks into what's at stake and can make the right recommendation to help people finding a solution.
Michel Leblanc, the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Metropolitan Montreal. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Have a good day, everyone.